We're going to check out the updated playoff picture for the Browns in just a moment. But if you want to keep the good times rolling, hit that sub button. Because I was looking at the YouTube analytics, and in week 13, when the Browns lost in the City of Angels, we picked up 426 subs that week. Week 14, come back home, beat the Jags, 499 subs. So I can't guarantee subbing has a correlation to winning, but YouTube might say otherwise. Now let's talk playoffs on today's show. We're going to run through a couple of different scenarios for the Browns. I'll give you my ultimate playoff prediction at the end for the AFC and NFC. But let's at least set a bit of a primer here by looking at the updated AFC playoff picture after the Dolphins choked it away against the Titans. The Ravens currently hold the number 1 seed at 10-3. The Browns hold the best wild card seed, number 5 at 8-5, which actually puts them on a collision course to replay against the Jags, an 8-5 team, in what would be a matchup down in Duval County. Now, the remaining schedule for the Browns, they have home against the Bears in Week 15, a 5-8 Bears team. They go to Houston in Week 16 on Christmas Eve to play a Texans team that just lost to the Jets. C.J. Stroud is in concussion protocol. They might not have Stroud, and Davis Mills does not scare me. Stroud definitely makes me a bit nervous. Week 17, home against the Jets. And then Week 18, they round out the year in Cincinnati against a 7-6 team that has maybe the best quarterback in the NFL right now, Jake Browning. Like, just ridiculous stuff that Browning is doing in Cincinnati. Now, New York Times puts out their playoff simulator, and here's what the numbers crunched out. Make the playoffs for the Browns, 86% chance of happening. Win the division, 11% chance of happening. So Browns are definitely not dead when it comes to winning the AFC North. And we'll kind of talk about what needs to happen for the Browns to win their first AFC North title in team history. But let's get through a playoff path first, starting with a wild card path, right? If you just want to know, PD, what do the Browns need to do to at least make the playoffs, right? Just to get in the dance, and I'll be happy with getting into the playoff path, getting into the wild card spot. Well, we can run through what needs to happen and what we're looking like here. If the Browns go 2-2 in the next 4-game stretch, 99% chance they are in. If they get to 10 wins, I can't actually say with absolute certainty that a 2-2 finish will get them to 100% chance of making the postseason. But pretty much, you win 2 of these next 4 games, you are in. Now, when we look at the current just mess that is all the mid-playoff teams right now, you've got 9 teams that either have 8 or 7 wins, okay? 9 teams with either 8 or 7 wins. Remember that for a moment. Because if we go back in time to this week last year, there were only 5 teams after Week 14, 2022 that had 8 or 7 wins. So there are 4 more teams in the mix, in the conversation, if you will, in the hunt, and that's going to make it a lot more complicated. That's going to make it a lot more difficult. That's going to make it where 9 wins, and I've said this all year long, it might not get you in the big dance. I also want to share this stat here, this graphic here, because look at the Jets. Look at the Titans. They were 7-6 last year. There are a lot of 7-6 teams right now, and they finished 7-10. So I know right now it might not seem realistic that some of these teams won't win another game, but it does happen. So just because you've got a lot of 7-win teams, don't assume they're all going to go at least 1-3. I could very well see the Texans losing out, right? Even a healthy C.J. Stroud couldn't take down the Jets on the road for a majority of that game in New York. If they lose Stroud for a week or 2, maybe they don't win another game. Maybe the Colts kind of run out of magic. Maybe the fucking Steelers, who suck, don't win another game, by the way. Now, there are some key matchups coming up here I want you guys to keep an eye on. Week 15, the Steelers play at Indianapolis. So 2 current playoff teams clashing on Sunday. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, and that loser's going to fall out of the playoff picture. Cowboys go to Buffalo to take on the Bills. That could be a loss for the Bills to kind of get them out of the playoff mix. The Bengals go to the Steelers in Week 16. You have a pair of 7-6 current teams right now facing off there. The Bengals also go to the Chiefs in Week 17. So if Cincinnati loses one of those 2 games, that'll make it a bit more difficult, of course. Week 18, the Texans at the Colts. 2 7-6 teams going at it. So one of those two teams might be a win and in situation in Week 18. And the Bills, they wrap up the season in Miami in what looked to be a sealed shut, like easy division for Miami. What if Buffalo goes into Week 18, one game back? If they win that, they sweep Miami and they would win the AFC East. So give me a dark horse for the playoffs. My dark horse, the Rams. 3-4 weeks ago, I said, time to start paying attention to LA. Right before the Browns played the Rams, I was like, they got Matthew Stafford back, Cooper Kupp is healthy, and Aaron Donald is still Aaron Donald. I'm going to take those three guys over Jordan Love, Christian Watson, and anyone in the Packers defense, over Gardner Minshew and the Colts. Like, I think the Rams are going to be a sneaky dark horse team, especially over the other NFC wildcard teams like the Vikings, for example, the Falcons, the Saints, or the Bucs. All right, second playoff path element here. What if you're wondering, Petey, what do the Browns have to do to win the AFC North? I'm going to answer that question for you in just a moment. But I do want to highlight our sponsor today, Game Time. You guys should not have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. If you're trying to catch an upcoming Browns game, or you want to see a concert or another sporting event in your area, Game Time is the place to visit first. Now, what I love about Game Time is the ability to get last-minute tickets for the lowest price. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BROWNSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem that code BROWNSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. So, you're wondering, what do the Browns have to do to win the AFC North? Well, they are 2 games back from the Ravens. They split the head-to-head, so toss that out the window for a moment. But if I'm looking at the remaining schedule, the Browns either A, could go 4-0, beat the Bears, Texans, Jets, and Bengals. Not too unrealistic. Like, none of those teams have a better record than Cleveland. The Browns are going to be favorites against the Bears. They already are. Good chance they could be favorites in Houston. Home favorites against the Jets. And maybe favorites barely at Cincinnati on the road. The Ravens, they don't play a team below 500 the rest of the way. They go to Jacksonville, a team that's dropped 2 in a row. So the Jags are hungry for a win. They go to the best team in the NFL right now, in my eyes, the San Francisco 49ers. Then they come back and play the Dolphins, one of the best offenses. And they round out the season in Pittsburgh, a place that's never easy for Baltimore. So if the Browns go 4-0, and the Ravens in that stretch go 2-2, Cleveland will win the AFC North. So the Browns sort of hold their own fate, but not really. Like, I don't think it's asking too much for the Ravens to go 2-2 in that stretch, right? To finish the year 12-5. Whereas the Browns going 4-0 is definitely not an easy, simple thing to do. But if I'm picking which one of these two things is more likely, I feel like the Ravens going 2-2 is much more likely than the Browns going 4-0. And so if that's the harder thing to accomplish, like, if that's the thing you don't have control over, I'll take it. Now, let's say the Browns go 3-1, drop one of those 4 games, and the Ravens go 1-3. It's complicated because they would finish with the same amount of wins, 11 wins. But then it comes down to tiebreakers. And the tiebreakers also apply to them having the same amount of wins that they have 12. But here are the tiebreakers if you've got 2 teams with the same record. Head-to-head. Toss it out. It's a draw. Division record. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit spicy. Let's say the Ravens go 1-3. However, their one win is against the Steelers. Well, if the Browns go 3-1 and their one loss is to the Bengals, the Ravens are going to have a better AFC North record, and that would put them ahead. But if the Browns go 3-1, their one loss is to the Bears. It's not even an AFC loss, which is the 4th division tiebreaker. Well, Browns go 3-1 with the loss to the Bears. The Ravens go 1-3 with a win against the 49ers or something. Browns actually leapfrog Baltimore and take over the AFC North. So 1-3 for the Ravens does not seem too likely. I don't think they're going to fall apart that much. I don't see why they can't lose to the 49ers and maybe in Week 18 in Pittsburgh give Mike Tomlin his 9th win because God forbid he goes below 500. I think that's not out of the realm of possibility. Can the Browns go 4-0? That is something that's a much bigger question to have here. All right, third element here of a playoff path. You want the 1 seed. You sick fuck. All right, let's talk about the possibility of the Browns getting the 1 seed. It's more than just this. But to keep it simple, I'm going to water it down. I think the Browns have to win out. They could get the 1 seed technically with 11 wins because no one's at 12 wins right now. But I don't think the 1 seed is going to go to an 11-win team. So the Browns win out and they finish 12-5. Okay? That's step 1. Step 2. The Ravens either win 0 or 1 games. Because if the Ravens win 2 games, they're at 12 wins with the Browns, and then it can get a little bit dicey with some tiebreakers. So let's just say Baltimore wins 0-1 games. Okay? Step number 3. The Dolphins, they win 1 or 2 games. Miami currently at 9-4. If they were to win 2 games, they go to 11 wins. They win 3 games. You got a tie between the Browns and the Dolphins. And all the playoff simulators I saw, if the Browns and Dolphins are tied at 12 wins, the Dolphins get the tiebreaker. Fourth thing, the Dolphins win 0 or 1 AFC East games. So remember when I said about tiebreakers? Yeah, it also applies if you're not in the same division. And the Dolphins have only lost 1 game so far in the AFC East. Now, if they were to beat the Jets or beat the Bills at the end of the season, that's going to give them a better AFC East record, and that would give them a win over or tiebreaker over the Browns at 12-5. And finally, the Chiefs win either 0 to 3 games. Kansas City has an absolute cupcake schedule coming up. It's already kind of cupcakey, and they've dropped 2 games, but it's going to get a lot easier for KC, believe me. So this is your 5-step path for the Browns to get the number 1 seed. Step 1 is win out. Step 2 is the Ravens win either 0 or 1 game. The Dolphins don't win more than 2 games. The Dolphins don't win more than 2 games in the AFC East. And the Chiefs win 0 to 3 games. If you want a home playoff game, though, type CLE. Something this fan base has not seen in decades. So you know what? I always love to know who watches all the way to the end of the video. So selfishly, this is my way of knowing who the MVPs of the channel are. So type CLE down below if you want a home playoff game. I said at the beginning of the show, I was going to give you guys my predictions, and here they are. I think the Chiefs are going to do what the Chiefs always do. They are going to win their next 4 games to silence all of the doubters because they have done this time and time again. I think the Ravens go 2-2 in the next stretch. They go 12-5. They lose on a tiebreaker to KC, and they get the 2 seed. I think the Dolphins are going to win 2 more games and finish 11-6. I think the Jags are going to finish 10-7, also winning 2 more games. The Broncos are going to finish 10-7 along with the Browns and the Bills. Now, why is Denver 5? Denver's got the head-to-head over Cleveland and Buffalo. So the Broncos finish number 5. The Browns finish going 2-2 in the final 4 games, getting the 6th seed, putting them on a collision course to play the Dolphins in the first round of the playoffs. Not an easy place to go to. And then finally, number 7, the Bills somehow squeak in because I don't think the Steelers are going to do it. I don't think the Bengals are going to do it. I don't think the Colts are going to do it. I don't think the Texans are going to do it. I would take Josh Allen over all those teams right now to figure it out in the last month of the season. And in case you're wondering, here's what I have going for the NFC. The 49ers are the best team in football right now. I've got them, and who beat them, by the way? I've got them finishing at the top 14-3 with a tiebreaker head-to-head over Philly. I have the Detroit Lions going 12-5. The Falcons winning the NFC South going 9-8, having them play the Cowboys, who won 13 games, but unfortunately they've got a tough schedule coming up, whereas the Eagles get to play the Giants twice. So Dallas goes to number 5, 13-4. The Rams, that's my sleeper team for the playoffs. They go 9-8. They get the 6th seed, and the Seahawks squeak in at 9-8, getting the final spot over the likes of the Vikings and the Packers. So let me know what you think of my playoff prediction down below in the comments section. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. We're going to keep you guys informed all season long.